The Battle of Rimini took place in between 13 and 21 September 1944 during Operation Olive, the main Allied offensive on the Gothic Line in August and September 1944, part of the Italian campaign in the Second World War. Rimini, a town on the Adriatic coast of Italy, anchored the Rimini Line, a German defensive line which was the third such line forming the Gothic Line defenses. Rimini, which had been hit previously by air raids, had 1,470,000 rounds fired against it by Allied land forces. According to Lieutenant-General Sir Oliver Leese, commander of the 8th Army, the Battle of Rimini was one of the hardest battles of 8th Army. The fighting was comparable to El Alamein, Muret and the Gothic Line. Background: on the 23rd of August 1944, 8th Army launched Operation Olive, attacking on a three-corps front up the eastern flank of Italy into the Gothic Line defences. By the first week in September, the offensive had broken through the forward defences of the Gothic Line and the defensive positions of the Green Line, and United States 5th Army entered the offensive in central Italy, attacking towards Bologna. In 8th Army's centre, 1st Canadian Corps had broken through Green 2 on the right of its front, advancing to pinch out the Polish Corps on the very right of the army, but inland in the hills the corps' advance had been held up by stubborn defence at Coriano, and 5th Corps on the army's left flank had been halted at Croce and Germano. A new attack to clear the Green 2 positions in the hills and destroy the Rimini Line running from the port of Rimini inland to San Marino was scheduled to start on the 12th of September. Battle of Rimini, just south of Rimini, attached to 1st Canadian Division, was 3rd Greek Mountain Brigade, a unit of mountain infantry formed by the Greek government in exile on the 1st of July 1944 in Lebanon under the command of Colonel Thrasivoulos Sakalatos. Near the village of Katlia they pushed back two strong German attacks on 8 and 10 September. On the 13th of September, the brigade, supported by the combined armour and infantry of B Squadron, 20th New Zealand Armoured Regiment and 22 New Zealand Motor Battalion from 2nd New Zealand Division, launched a counterattack to take Rimini. Also supporting the brigade were infantry, mortars and machine guns from the Canadian Saskatoon Light Infantry and New Zealand 33 anti-tank battery fielding 17 PDR guns. The initial attack on the 13th of September saw the Greeks attacking two small farm settlements on the Mirano Road. The two settlements were defended by 1st Parachute Regiment and Samostropp and described as Turcoman. The Germans were well prepared and held off the Greeks. The following day, 7 and 8 Troop of the B Squadron, 20th Armoured Regiment were added to the attack on Monaldini, while soon after a platoon from 22nd Motor Battalion aided the attack on Monticelli with the support of 5 and 6 Troops Sherman tanks. By 2000 hours the Monaldini farm had been taken, with only light casualties. The focus then turned to Monticelli, where the Greeks and New Zealanders once again attacked. The German defenders cleared out of the position as soon as the attackers approached, and the farm was in Allied hands a short time later. On the 15th of September the Greeks launched an assault on the Rimini airfield. The 1st Greek Battalion crossed the Mirano River at 1000 hours, and immediately came under intense fire from German positions around the airfield. The Greeks halted to reorganize themselves for an attack. C Squadron, 18th New Zealand Armoured Regiment relieved B Squadron 20th Armoured Regiment in the line supporting the Greeks. Air support was called in, and Allied fighter bombers attacked the western side of the airfield, and the Greeks attacked shortly afterwards. The 1st Greek Battalion attacked the airfield itself. The 2nd Greek Battalion then attacked up the Route 16 road, and the 3rd Battalion attacked the small village village of Casalecchio. The 1st Greek Battalion once more ran into stiff resistance from the airfield defenders. Fire from airfield inflicted heavy casualties on the advancing Greeks. However, support from the New Zealand tanks and infantry was better coordinated, as one of the New Zealand officers spoke Greek. The tanks were able to fire on each house lining the south of the airfield to ensure they weren't occupied. As the Greeks and New Zealanders approached the defensive positions, they came under fire from infantry, anti-tank rockets, self-propelled guns, and emplaced Panther turrets. The heavy fire pinned the advance just short of the airfield. Meanwhile, the tanks edged around a hedgerow to avoid the anti-tank fire, but soon found themselves at the forefront of the attack. A German self-propelled gun knocked out a Sherman, but the New Zealanders continued forward and knocked out enemy positions with high explosives and grenades, forcing the Germans to withdraw from the positions. A crew of a Panther turret abandoned it during the night. The 2nd Greek Battalion, on the right of the brigade, attacked up the Route 16 road, but became separated from the supporting New Zealand tanks. The Greeks were halted by mines and heavy defensive fire from the east side of the airfield and nearby houses. The 3rd Greek Battalion attacked the village of Casalecchio on the left flank, supported by New Zealand tanks and infantry. The little village stood on a crossroads with a few houses and a church. The Greek infantry quickly cleared the houses, but the paratroops in the church proved harder to move. The church was finally cleared when a combined attack by Greek and New Zealand infantry and tanks drove the paratroopers out. However, heavy machine gun and mortar fire from the airfield halted any further advance. The following day, the Greeks continued to mop up around the airfield, most of which they held, though one Panther turret was still in operation. The 3rd Greek Battalion advanced up the left through the hedges and ditches beyond Casalecchio until they came level with the 1st Greek Battalion in the center. Their task was made difficult as they had occasionally to clear minefields and were under constant fire. The 2nd Greek Battalion advanced up the right flank of the airfield. Anti-tank fire was lighter than the previous day. The following day, the 3 battalions continued their advance. Several attempts were made to knock out the remaining Panther turret with aircraft and artillery, but it finally fell to one of the New Zealand Shermans working around its flank. It fired several anti-tank rounds into the turret before the crew eventually evacuated. Once the airfield was taken, the 3rd Greek Mountain Brigade turned its attention towards Rimini itself. On the 18th of September, the 2nd and 3rd Battalions pushed on to Rimini, towards the coastal suburbs of the town. They encountered heavy resistance once again from the German paratroops, but with the aid of New Zealand and Canadian support were finally able to push into the outskirts of the town on the 20th of September. They pushed on into Rimini from the south, only to find the city abandoned by the Germans, who had been forced to withdraw by the outflanking threat created by the fall of San Fortunato II, 1st Canadian Division. On the morning of the 21st of September, the 2nd Greek Battalion reached the city centre via the AUSA River and raised the Greek flag on the balcony of the municipal building. At 7:45 of the 21st of September, the mayor unconditionally surrendered the city to the 3rd Greek Mountain Brigade with an official protocol that is written in Greek, English and Italian. The actions of the Greek brigade during the battle earned it the honorific title Rimini Brigade.